Hello, students. This is your teacher, Tricia, and I'm here at my home recording this message for you. These are strange times that we live in, and I'm here to just reassure you that your class will go on and that we're going to keep working through the textbook over the next 7 weeks. I'm going to be making these videos for you, and I hope you'll be able to listen to them whether online or on your cell phone. This is going to be a YouTube video, and I'm hoping that will make it easy for you to be able to listen and take part in the class. These are strange times, like I said, because I've never lived through a pandemic before. Even my own mother-in-law, my husband's mom, who's 84, has never lived through a pandemic. So we're going to need to be patient with each other and just do the best we can to stay in touch and be able to continue our studies. My word to you is stay safe. Don't go on campus. Even if they open up the library, please do not go on campus. Stay home. The governor has said that we're not to leave our houses except to go to 2 places, the grocery store and the pharmacy if you need medicine. If you don't need to go to the pharmacy, I would stay away from the pharmacy as well, because that is where sick people go to get their medicine. As far as grocery stores are concerned, it's your best idea to go as soon as the doors open in the morning, get exactly what you need, and leave. And as soon as you get home, wash your hands, soak your fresh fruits and vegetables in a solution of 1 part vinegar to 10 parts of water. They say to soak it for 15 minutes because you never know whether the hands that have touched the fresh fruits and vegetables have had the virus. I'm soaking my fruits and vegetables too. The things that can be cooked, I'm not soaking those. Also, the other thing that they're telling us is even if you order out food, for instance, my family got pizza the other night. We left a note on the door with a tip. We paid the cost of the pizza ahead of time by credit card. And when the delivery man came with the pizza, he was instructed to just leave the pizza on the front steps, and then he left. And when he was gone, we opened the door, pulled the pizza in, and we had one person take the pizza out, and the other person who was holding the box took the box right to the trash can. And when that person came back in, they washed their hands very well with soap and water, because this virus can stay on cardboard for up to 24 hours. So I don't mean to frighten you, but I just want you to be safe. So the same thing goes for if you get a newspaper, take the plastic off, throw the plastic in the trash, and then wash your hands well. And even getting mail, when you've gotten your mail and you've opened it up, you're all done, wash your hands well. We're going to be studying together for the next 7 weeks. We'll still be using your textbooks that you all have, and we're going to be learning together. This is not something I've done before either, so we're going to be learning together online, and you can email me with questions that you have, or if you have suggestions for how you would like this to go. There's some things that are going to remain the same. I'm still going to be giving homework. I'm still going to be asking you to write journal entries, but now you're going to email me your journal entries. We can't read them aloud as a class yet, though I am hoping at some point that we can actually get to the point where we can have our classroom online. It will most likely be Friday mornings, right during the time that you had set aside for class anyway. But it will not be as long. It will probably just be 1 hour. Anyway, you're gonna need to send me your paragraphs, your journal paragraphs, and I'm going to correct them, and then I'll send them back to you to be able to learn from your mistakes. The other thing is, just like usual, we're going to begin each class with a little review of what we covered the week before. And the last class that we had was early March, so we're definitely going to need to do a review today. This is very important for all of us, since we need to kind of settle our hearts and, feel a bit more at peace. And it's good for us to have kind of a routine, so we know what's expected and we know what's going to happen. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to give you your quizzes or your tests, but just wait. We can figure that out later. There are some changes that are going to happen. For instance, instead of taking turns reading aloud like we did in the classroom, where I could correct your pronunciation and so on, this time I'm going to just read the text section aloud. I will name the page in the textbook, give you, a minute to find that page, and then I'm going to read that section out loud. Because this is a video, you're going to have the opportunity at home to be able to pause the video and rewind it and listen to me again, this time being very careful to listen to my pronunciation. And you'll also be able to read aloud with me so that you can hear how things are pronounced and be able to practice. The other thing that's going to be different is I'm going to make these recordings. This is the first recording. And I'm going to also have a record. So I'll have one recording each week that will be your class. And because this is a recording, you can listen to it at any time that you have the opportunity. So maybe after your kids are in bed, or when you've got a free half hour to 40 minutes, then you can listen to this recording. There's another recording I'm going to make, and that is going to be real life examples of how you can politely ask for help, how you can politely clarify when you don't understand what someone has said because they're saying it too quickly, or they're saying it in a confusing way. I'm also going to have real life examples of people giving opinions, and I'm going to have real life examples of how to agree and disagree politely. These are the 4 very important things that I'm bringing in addition to the material that you're studying in your textbook. Because remember, at the beginning of the class, I had said that this is a curriculum that I've worked out that I believe is very important for all international students to have under their belt. This is things that can go into your tool belt that you can pull out and be able to use when it's very important. Already with asking for help, there are so many ways we need to ask for help every day. All of us are in the same situation around the world. And let me just say that I'm praying for each of you, and I'm also praying for your families, that they're okay where they are. Hope things are going well for them. So those 4 things: asking for help, clarifying politely, giving opinions, and how to agree or disagree politely. Now let's get right to our studies, all right? So I'm putting these notes away, and I'm going to pull out the textbook, and we're going to do just a little bit of review of what you had studied before. Our review this time was on page 136 it was section B, and I had asked you to try and think of one of these questions about self-service technology. Remember, we had been talking about, in this section of the book, we had been talking about, well, actually, I don't know if we had read this, so I'm going to read page 133 very slowly for you, and if you could follow along, that would be great. We are going to do this little review, and it's talking about machines, and I believe we can also, so it's this textbook, just in case you need a memory, and let's take a look at this. So we were talking about, let's actually go back to page 131. I think this is kind of important. It looks like this, and we're going to be looking at page 131 at the top. I'm going to read this little section of the text to you. It's talking about how to identify an author's purpose for writing. So the purpose of a text is the reason the author writes it. For example, the purpose of a newspaper article is to inform or give the reader information about something. The purpose of a letter to the newspaper is usually to express an opinion about something. As you read, look at the words the author uses and ask yourself questions to help you identify the purpose. Here are some questions you can ask yourself as you read. Is the author trying to give me information about something? Is the author expressing his or her opinion about something? Is the author telling me a personal story? Is the author trying to make me interested or excited about something? Or is the author trying to make me laugh? You can identify the author's purpose, and this will help you better understand the text you are reading. Now, it says to go back to reading 1 on pages 126 and 128, and it says, what was the author's purpose? Now, this was the article about the manager who is writing to his employees and telling them about the new technology that they were going to bring into the restaurant. And you remember they were going to have iPads on each table so that people could look at the menu, see pictures, and be able to put in their order. So what do you think the author's purpose was? Do you think it was to tell a story? Do you think it was to make someone laugh? Do you think it was to give information? Or do you think it was to make someone excited about something? Now you think about that and think, I don't think it was to make anyone laugh. I don't think it was to tell a story. It was definitely to give information, and maybe a little bit to make his employees excited about something. But I think C is the answer, to give information. Now, let's look down in section B on that page 131. Now, here are some titles of the articles, and let's talk together about which is their purpose for writing. Now, the very first one is My Embarrassing Adventures with Technology. Do you think that's to tell a story, to make someone laugh, to express an opinion, to make someone interested in something, or to give information? Well, I think it's probably to make someone laugh, because usually when the word embarrassing is there, it's to make people laugh. All right, let's look at the next one. Competitive sports are too competitive. Competitive sports are too competitive. Now, that is a classic example of giving your opinion. So the answer is C, to express an opinion. How about number 3? My grandfather's childhood in Egypt. That's not just giving information. I don't think it's making someone interested. It's not expressing an opinion. I don't think it's to make someone laugh. So I think this is actually to tell a story. A. Let's look at number 4. New research shows birds see more colors. It's not a story, not laugh. It's not an opinion, not getting someone interested. I think it's to give information. E. Number 5, you can be stronger in 2 weeks. So let's think about that. Oh, I shouldn't have touched my face. That's the other thing you're supposed to avoid during this pandemic. Do not touch your face. All right. You can be stronger in 2 weeks. Is it to tell a story? Make someone laugh? Express an opinion? No. I think it might be to give information, or it could be to make someone interested in something. I think it's to make someone interested in something. The way you know it's to make someone interested in something is it says in 2 weeks. So it makes you immediately ask the question, what can I do that can make me stronger in 2 weeks? Okay? All right, now let's turn the page and let's take a look at these vocabulary words. On page 132, we're going to preview this vocabulary. The first word is access. Access. And it's a way to enter a place or use something. And the way you would use that in a sentence is, I needed access to the building, so I had to phone a friend who had the key. Access. The next word is assist. Assist. It's to help someone out. So when we're asking for help, we're asking someone to assist us. The next word is connection. Connection is a path of communication for a telephone or internet. So usually we use the phrase, we had a bad internet connection. That means you could not see the face, or it was blurry. And I hope you all have a good connection to see this instructional video that I'm making. So connection. Sometimes people will say, I had an excellent connection with that person, or a good connection. Or they'll say, we really connected. And it means that you understood each other, and you thought the same things were funny, and maybe you had similar lives that you could talk about, so you had a good connection. The next word is eventually. Eventually. And eventually means after a long time. And eventually is what you can say at the end of this class in 7 weeks. You can say, eventually I will finish this class. Or you will say, eventually, when the pandemic is over, I can travel again. And all of us are in this situation of needing to say eventually. Let me just tell a funny joke I heard from my sister. And it kind of includes the word eventually. A friend of ours who was talking to his wife, he said, you know what? Here is a gift I've just bought you. I've bought you this world map. And he stretched it out on the wall, and he gave her a dart. A dart is something that you throw like this, and it can hit the target. But this was a world map, and he says, I want you to throw the dart, and wherever that lands in the world, I promise you that eventually, when this pandemic is over, we will go for 2 weeks for a vacation. So this woman threw the dart, and she said on her little Facebook post, it turns out we're going for 2 weeks behind the refrigerator. So I hope you understand that. 2 weeks behind the refrigerator, because the dart did not hit the world map. It went behind the refrigerator. So her husband must have put it on the front of the refrigerator, and she threw the dart, and it didn't hit the refrigerator. So she said, unfortunately, we will be going behind the refrigerator for 2 weeks. Now, I thought that was a very funny joke, but let's get back to the vocabulary. The next word is frustrated. Frustrated means you're angry or impatient because you cannot do or achieve what you want to do. And again, I'm going to tie that in with this pandemic and say there are many, many frustrated people. Many people who have lost their jobs, who cannot work from home, frustrated because they cannot go out of their houses, frustrated because they can't get together with friends that they normally see all the time, frustrated because their children are home and bored. So there are many reasons why people can be frustrated, because this is a period of waiting and being careful and watching and being cautious and learning new things that we wish we didn't have to learn. But this is our real life right now. So the word is frustrated. And sometimes I'm frustrated too. Furious. Now that is a word I hope none of you feel. Furious is very angry. You don't say furious unless you are so angry that you can barely stand it. So you could say, I was just furious that someone blocked my car so that I could not leave my driveway, and they did not come back to their car for 3 hours. You could say, I was furious. Some people, of course, get furious very easily, and some people, it takes them a lot to get furious. I hope you're one of those people that are very patient and don't get furious easily. So that's the word furious, very angry. The next word is install. Install means to put a new thing in its place so it's ready to use. So I just installed a program on my computer so that I could try and use a software program called Google Meet. And this might be the way in which we can meet as a classroom. I'll let you know how that goes, okay? Install. The next word is on hold. Sometimes we're put on hold. I was put on hold a few weeks ago when I was trying to cancel an airplane flight to Seattle, where my sisters live. I realized with the coronavirus, I had no business going to Seattle, which at that time was considered the epicenter for the coronavirus. So I was waiting on hold for 40 minutes to be able to cancel my flight. The description here is waiting on the phone to talk with someone or continue a conversation. And I have to say also that sometimes it feels like our lives all over the world are on hold right now. But we can either be unhappy about it, frustrated, or we can use this time to become better people. We can read, we can write in our journals, we can talk with loved ones by Skype or by telephone. We can begin to become better people by the things we study and learn. All right? So even when you're on hold, that can be used by God and by you to become better people. The next word is scan. It means to pass lightly over a picture or document in order to copy it and put it into the memory of a computer. So sometimes there's a printer at home and it has a scan feature. And on my cell phone, I have an app called Mini Scan so that I can actually take a photo of a document and it'll scan it. We also talked about scanning a paragraph. Remember when we talked about that maybe 3 weeks ago now, where I said skim or scan this paragraph for the most important ideas in it. It means to go to the very first sentence and the very last sentence of each paragraph and see what it's about. It can give you an idea of what the whole article is about. So that's called scanning or skimming. The last word in this box is transfer. Transfer. It means to connect a telephone caller to another person online. So sometimes when you're waiting, they say, oh, we can't help you with that. I'll need to transfer you to the next person. So they'll transfer me, and that person will say, oh, no, you can't get help from me. I need to transfer you to another person. One time I was transferred 4 times before I finally said, stop, please. I already was transferred to that person, and they are the ones that transferred me to you. You need to please help me. So that's transfer. Now, I would like you to be able to fill these sentences in on your own. There's 10 sentences, and I would like you for your homework to be able to fill in the right word for each sentence, all right? But now let's flip the book, and I'm going to begin reading this article called I Hate Machines. It's on page 133, all right? All right, so get comfortable, grab a drink of water, and let's get started on this article. I'm going to read it slowly, and like I said, you can always pause and then replay it so that you can read it together with me, so that you can hear how it's supposed to be pronounced and you can practice pronouncing it correctly. All right? Recently, I moved to a new apartment right across the street from my old one. I thought it would be simple to get my phone and DSL line started. The technician from the phone company came to install my telephone line. He said that I would be able to use the internet on the same line. After he left, I discovered that the phone worked, but the DSL connection for the internet didn't. So I called the phone company. Of course, I didn't get to talk to a real person. Instead, an automated voice recording asked me a lot of questions. Then I had to wait for half an hour to talk to a real person. While I was on hold, every few minutes a recording said, "Remember, you can use our convenient website to solve most of your problems." Ah, I said to the recording, feeling frustrated. "Why do you think I'm calling you? I don't have a connection to the internet." Paragraph 2. I finally got to talk to a real person, but then she transferred me back into the automated system again. I couldn't get any help. I called a different number, and the person told me to be at my house for a technician to come the next day. I stayed home from work, but nobody came. I called them again. The recording said, "We're sorry, all agents are busy assisting other customers. We are unable to take your call." Then the machine hung up on me. 3 days later, I received a phone call from them. But again, it wasn't a real person. It was a machine. The voice on the machine said, "We are happy to tell you that you now have internet access." But when I went back to my computer, I still couldn't connect to the internet. I was furious. Paragraph 3. To make a long story short, it took the phone company 2 weeks to solve my problem. I spent a total of 18 hours at home waiting for workers who never came. I spent 8 hours on the phone listening to recordings and machines and waiting on hold. Companies think that these voice-activated systems save us time, but they actually waste it. Paragraph 4. The telephone isn't the only time-saving technology that drives me crazy. The other day, I went to the supermarket. They had a new self-service checkout system. With this new device, I could scan my groceries myself instead of waiting in a checkout line. For some strange reason, these machines seem to hate me. Here's what happened. I scan my item. The computer sits there stupidly and does nothing. Eventually, it says, "Scan your first item." But I already did. What do I do now? Scan it again and get charged twice? So I put my item in the bag. "Put the item in the bag," says the machine. But I already did. "Put the item in the bag," it says again. So I take it out and do it again just to make the machine happy. "Scan the item before putting it in the bag," shouts the machine, while everyone turns to look at me like I'm the idiot. Arrgh. I wish we could go back to the good old days when there were real people to help us. I think I would have been happier living 100 years ago before we had all this time-saving, self-service technology. All right, now let's take a look at the very next page, page 135 in your textbook. We're going to look at how to answer these questions. So the first question is, what are the 2 types of automated technology with which the author was frustrated? So give that a little bit of thought. Well, of course, the first automated technology that he was frustrated with was the phone service, the automated calls that he kept getting that weren't telling him the truth. And what was the second one? He was in the supermarket. That's right. It's the self-checkout at the grocery store. What was frustrating about his first experience? Well, one of those things was he was on hold. Another thing was, he got transferred. See if you can think of the next thing. Number 3, how did he feel when he used the self-service checkout? How did he feel? Furious! Because the machine kept shouting at him, right? Why does the writer hate machines? Can you give 3 reasons? And let's take a look at question 5. What is the author's purpose? Well, I think the author's purpose is to give an opinion and maybe to make us laugh. Laugh at his sad story, and get us happy that we're not the only ones that have problems with self-checkout machines, right? Excuse me. All right. Number 6. The blog is humorous. In your opinion, what was the funniest part? Well, this is where you have your own opinion. You can each think of what is the funniest thing. For me, I thought the funniest thing was something that's actually happened to me, where the machine is shouting at him in the grocery store and people are looking at him like he's the idiot. That to me was the funniest thing. All right, let's look down in the section true and false. I would like you to use this as homework, and you can just write in your email to me, page 135, section C, and then next to 1 you can write true or false all the way through, all the way through number 5, okay? Now let's turn the page, and now we're on page 136. Section D, look at the reading and identify who said each of these statements. Write P if it was a person, and C if it was a computer or automated voice. So let's look at number 1. Remember, you can use our convenient website to solve most of your problems. Was that a person or a computer? I think it was a computer. All right, number 2, arg or argh. That was the writer, so it's P for person. Number 3, why do you think I'm calling you? That doesn't sound like a computer. I think it's a person. Number 4, we're sorry, all agents are busy assisting other customers. This is easy. That is definitely a computer. Scan the item before putting it in the bag. Was that a person? No, it was a computer. All right, now let's look at section E on this page. Read the statements and number them to show the correct order. I would also like you to do this for your homework, all right? Just letters A through F, you just need to write what number they come in. So when this is talking about the correct order, it means what things happened first, all right? So I'll just give you an example. I'll start you off. The very first thing that happened was a technician from the phone company installed a phone line. So the answer for C is 1, okay? Now, I would like you to write these down and email me the answers. That'll be part of your homework, all right? Now, let's skip this bottom section, and I'm going to move over to page 137. I'm reading up at the top, and I'm going to read slowly, and you can, again, like I said, stop and listen to me again, and then you can stop and listen to me and repeat after me. Repeat while I'm speaking, all right, so that you can practice saying it correctly. This is vocabulary skill using the dictionary. Words with more than one meaning. Now, this is a problem in in English language because one word can have more than one meaning. Sometimes it even sounds the same, but sometimes it is spelled differently. For instance, I was just thinking of the word lead, L-E-A-D, like lead in your pencil, or he led a group. But there's also the word lead, which is spelled the same way. Oh no, Led a group is spelled L-E-D. To lead a group is spelled the same as lead in a pencil, but it's pronounced lead a group. If you can lead this meeting, that would be wonderful. All right, so words with more than one meaning. Many words have more than one meaning or definition, even if they are spelled and pronounced the very same way. Using a dictionary can help you identify the correct meaning of a new word. If a word has two definitions that are the same part of speech, so noun, verb, adjective, adverb, they will likely appear under the same entry in the dictionary. If the two meanings are different parts of speech, they might appear under different entries in the dictionary. So let's look down at the word light. When it's a noun, there's two different meanings. And look over in the other box, when it's light as an adjective, it has three different meanings. So let's go back over to the two different meanings when it's a noun. The first meaning is the energy from a sun, a lamp, etc., that allows you to see things. Example, a beam or ray of light, the light of the sun. And here's a sentence: the light was too bad for us to read by. Here's the second meaning of the word light when it's a noun. Something that produces light. For example, an electric lamp. Suddenly, all the lights came on, or suddenly all the lights went out. So the lights of the city in the distance, you can talk about a neon light, or the car's lights, we usually call them headlights. That car's lights aren't on. Or please switch the lights off before you leave. I always tell my children, please turn the lights off when you leave a room. Now let's look over at the three definitions when it's an adjective. Light means having a lot of light, or in the summer it's still light at 9 o'clock. It's the opposite of the word dark. The other definition of light is light in color. So for instance, I'm wearing a dark color and my walls are a light color. My walls are yellow. The third definition under adjective is not of great weight, not heavy. Carry this bag, it's the lightest. Or I've lost weight, I'm 5 pounds lighter than I used to be. Or those are light clothes. Are you sure they're warm enough for this cold March day? When clothes are light, it means that they're not thick or not heavy. They're not warm enough. Now let's go down to the bottom section. Now this section, you're supposed to use a dictionary and be able to find the different definitions of the words below. And then you can write the definition and the sentence that uses the word in context. The first two things are done for us, so let me read these sentences to you. Definition 1, the energy from a sun, a lamp, etc. The sentence example is, the light was too low for us to see. The second definition is something that produces light, for example, an electric lamp. And the sentence is, suddenly all the lights came on. So let's look down at a third definition. So looking up at the top, we find another definition is not heavy. And my sentence that I came up with is, this box is light. What's in there? Toilet paper? This box is light. What's in there? Toilet paper? The fourth definition I chose from up above is not warm. So the sentence is, this sweater is light, perfect for a warm spring day. All right, now let's turn the page. Here are some other, the other words. And what I would like you to do for our classwork is I'd like you to look up the definitions of row, tip, and bank. And if you could email me those answers for 2 definitions for row, 3 definitions for tip, and 3 definitions for bank, that would be great. Let me just say that I'm going to give you a tip right now and tell you that a tip can be advice. A tip can be money that you get paid if you're a waitress or if you're a pizza delivery man. So it's money for services you've given. And the third thing is a tip can be the tip of your tongue. It's a corner. We also talk about the tip of the iceberg. An iceberg is a piece of ice that's sticking up out of the water and up in the North Pole and also down in the South Pole, Antarctica. Whew, excuse me. They have icebergs there, and they always talk about the tip of the iceberg. It means you're only seeing a very little part. The whole rest of it is underneath the water. So sometimes people will say, oh, what you understand is just the tip of the iceberg, or this problem that you see is just the tip of the iceberg. The problem is much bigger. And so I've given you a tip by giving you those 3 definitions and maybe some sample sentences. But I would like you to also do the word row and also the word bank. And I want to read your sentences that you've written for each of these things. All right, now let's also have you do section B on the bottom for your homework. Because I'm only going to be teaching this for 1 hour, and you actually have 3 hours in the classroom. So you have 2 more hours that you can use just for doing this homework. I don't think you need it, but I'm just saying this is something that can help me see what you're understanding. So I would like you to do section B on page 138 also. All right, now let's go over to the next page, page 139. And we are going to take a look at this section. It says at the top, at the end of this unit, you will write a paragraph describing the steps of a process performed by either a person or a machine. This paragraph will include specific information from readings or your own ideas. Now, just to give you an example, my class last year, one of my students who loved to cook decided she would write the steps involved in a recipe. So, for instance, she would say, first I lay out these ingredients. The recipe I'm making is, and then she would name it. And then she'd say, the next step I would do is, and then she would say, after that, stir in, and then she'd say, finally, put the oven on to bake and put it in the oven at 350 degrees. I had another student in the class who, I think I've mentioned her before, makes bridal gowns. She's a seamstress for her job. And so she described in her paragraph the steps in designing an outfit. She said, first I draw the design, then I get fabric that's big enough and I lay it out on the table, and then I draw the the pattern draw the pattern and put it on top of the fabric, and you understand what I'm saying. So she's giving the steps. First this, then next this, then. So the point of this is I want to see these words: first, next, then, later, after that, and finally. And when you're also writing your paragraph, that'll be later, you're also going to use words like after, as soon as, before, when, and while. These are all written here. Okay. Now I'm going to read this section, writing skill describing a process. When you write about a process, you describe how to do something step by step. First, you write a topic sentence that states what the process is. Then you explain each step clearly. Use time order words to help guide your reader. Time order words usually come at the beginning of a sentence and are followed by a comma. So the example is first, next, and so on. Note that then is not followed by a comma. Now, I just read through that box. The next section says, and here's the examples. First, comma, turn on your computer. Then go to our website. Those are the two sentences that show you how to use these time order words. Then the next thing it says is use these time order words to link two steps in a process. So the time link words are the ones I already read: after, as soon as, before, when, and while. Now here are the two sentences that use these time order words. Before you download the program, comma, read the instructions. And the next sentence is, while the program is downloading, comma, you can check your email. Now let's look on the bottom here. Writing model. Read the model instructions for digital dining and circle the time order words. And this is something that I would like you to take a picture of once you've circled the time order words. And if you could email me that paragraph, I would be grateful. Now, section B. Read the steps about how to use an ATM, then write the steps in the flowchart on page 140 to show the correct order. Now, on page 140, it has little boxes, and you just put the letter of the thing that comes first in those boxes, all right? And it says show your partner, but we obviously can't do that. So for the process how to use an ATM, if you could give me the order that you've put these boxes in, that would be great. All right. Let me just say, I think the very first one is going to be B, insert your ATM card. All right. All right, now let's turn to the next page, and I'm going to ask you to look at the top of page 141. Says use your flow chart and one or two sentences from activity F to write a paragraph describing a process. Make sure and use time order words. You don't need to do this, all right? Because we're going to write a paragraph later of your choice about something that you would like to put in steps, a recipe or instructions, something like that. All right, so now let's look in the gray box on page 141, infinitives of purpose. Okay? An infinitive is to plus the base form of a verb. We sometimes use infinitives to show the purpose of an action. We call these infinitives of purpose. An infinitive of purpose is usually separated from the main verb in a sentence. Infinitives of purpose can be used with most action verbs. So here's some examples. Follow these steps to use an ATM. The main verb is follow, and the infinitive of purpose is to use. So you have to follow for the reason of, or for the purpose of, to use the ATM. The next example is push the button to send your order. So the main verb is push, but the reason why you're pushing it, or the infinitive of purpose, is to send, because that's what you want to do. You want to be able to send your order. Here's the third example. The manager lowered prices to increase sales. The main verb is lowered. He lowered them. Why? What was his reason? To increase sales. That was his infinitive of purpose. That was his reason or purpose for doing it. Hope you understand. This next one says, sometimes an infinitive of purpose comes from the main verb. So, here's the example. To use an ATM, comma, follow these steps. And the infinitive of purpose in this sentence is still to use, because that's what you're trying to